Hey guys, it's Tyler Runington and welcome to my 2018-19 League One prediction. So with the League One season officially kicking off in a week's time, I've decided to share my thoughts on the upcoming season. Who's going to get relegated, who's going to survive relegation, who's going to finish mid-table, who's going to get the playoff push, who's going to get automatic promotion, and overall, who is going to pick up the League One trophy at the end of the season. So without any further hesitation, let's get right into the predictions. Start off with the four teams that I think are going to go down. Starting with the club, bottom of the league, I'm going to go with Wycombe Wanderers. They have got a decent manager in Gareth Ainsworth and very experienced squad, including Adebayo Akinfenwa. But unfortunately, they are relegation candidates for this season, and I think they're going to learn League One the hard way, and they're going to go down. In 23rd, I'm going with Rochdale. Now, Rochdale survived by the skin of their teeth last season. They beat my team Charlton on the last day of the season last season and got help from Northampton Town, who drew with Oldham 2-2 and secured a draw. But they were in the relegation zone for pretty much the entire season last year, or the majority of the season. And I think this year is going to be too much for them, and they're going to go down. In 22nd is another newly promoted side, and it is Accrington Stanley. Now, Accrington are in League One for the first time ever. And they are quite a small club, which is why they are, again, relegation candidates. They have the desire to do well, and I hope that they do prove me wrong. But for me, I think Accrington are going to go down. And occupying the final relegation spot in 21st is Gillingham. Now, Gillingham have been down the bottom end of League One for a few years now. They were 20th in 2016-17, survived just about on the final day. They finished 17th last season, despite looking like they were going to be late promotion candidates, making a late charge for the power places, as they were 10th by the new year. But their new manager bouts didn't last long and they slumped in form. And this year, I think it's going to be too much for Gillingham, and they are finally going to go down to the 4th tier. Teams that are just scraping relegation, just about surviving. In 20th, I'm going with AFC Wimbledon. Now, Wimbledon have been hit hard massively during the transfer window. They've lost quite a few players. I think they've done a bit of a club clean-out this year. They've lost Dean Parrott, Barry Fuller and Harry Forrester. But the biggest loss is Lyle Taylor, who of course has joined Charlton. Yeah, that's a massive loss for Wimbledon. I think they've signed James Hansen, who is very experienced in this league. But I can see Wimbledon struggling much more as they did last season. But I think they are going to start. I don't think they get relegated. In 19th, I'm going with a very controversial one, and it's Coventry City. Now, Coventry are expected to do very well this season, and I do hope that they do. But as a newly promoted side, statistically they do quite well. But I think Coventry are going to struggle. They've lost their top scorer, Mark McNulty. He's joined Reading, but they've signed Abu Agogo from Shrewsbury, which is a very good signing. But yeah, I think Coventry are going to be down the bottom end of the table this season. I don't think they're going to do that well. I don't think they get relegated. If they do, I'll be very surprised. But yeah, Coventry, I'm going with them 19th. And in 18th, I'm going with Doncaster. Now, Doncaster, again, they've got quite a solid team. They've got good players, including John Marquis. But again, I can see them down the bottom end of the table struggling this season. They won't go down, but I think that they're just about going to stay up. In 17th, I'm going with the Saddlers in Walsall. Now, Walsall struggled badly last season in 19th. They lost, obviously, during the summer, they've lost the Turkish Meshi, Erhan Öztürk. He has joined Bolton Wanderers, of course, in the Championship. It's a big loss for them, but I think Walsall are going to sort themselves out this season, and they're going to finish a tad higher. They will be in a relegation battle still, I think, but they're just going to about survive. In 16th, I'm going with Blackpool. Now, Blackpool did very well to finish in 12th, despite poor ownership and the lack of support from the fans due to boycotting matches. They did very well to finish mid-table. I think, again, they could be near whereabouts. They have lost a lot of players, though, during the window. Aimson, Clark Robinson has gone, Januet has left, and Carl Vassell's gone as well. So they have lost quite a lot of players, which is why I think they're going to finish slightly lower down the table than they did last season. But they won't go down. I think they'll finish in 16th. And in 15th, I'm going with Oxford United. Of course, Carl Robinson manages them. He's only been in charge of Oxford for 2.5 months, so he's still very inexperienced to your team. I think he's still fiddling about with the formations. I think he's found one in 4-1-2-1-2, which is working slightly. Oxford could make a charge for the playoffs this season or a mid-table spot, but I think they are going to find it difficult as Robinson's still getting to grips with your squad, which is why I think Oxford are going to end up in 15th place this year. Moving on, in 14th, I'm going with Bristol Rovers. Now, Bristol Rovers are one of them teams that have a lot of consistency in the league, in this division. They just missed out on the playoffs in 2016-17, They finished 13th last season, and this season I'm predicting them to come 14th. They have lost again Quite a few players. They lost Billy Bodden in January, of course, and in the summer they've lost Ellis Harrison to Ipswich. It's a big loss in their attacking third. I think Bristol Rovers, again, they could be up there making a playoff push, but I think with their loss of their key players, they could struggle this season. But I'm going with 14th. In 13th, I'm going with Joey Barton's Fleetwood Town. It is a risk for Fleetwood to bring in Joey Barton. He's never managed a club before. It could go very well. It could go really badly. Of course, they were relegation candidates pretty much. Well, not relegation candidates. They were surviving relegation right at the start of the season. In October, they were in the relegation zone. But their new manager pulled them up and they finished in 14th. I'm predicting Barton to finish mid-table with Fleetwood this year. He could go one step further. We know what new managers can do in this division, but I'm going with Barton to finish in 13th with Fleetwood Town. And in 12th is another very controversial one, and it's Luton Town. Now, Luton are expected to do very well in this division this year, and Kenilworth Road is home to clubs being battered on a weekly basis, it seemed to be at the start of the season. They finished second last year, they did very well, and they have the potential to do well this year. I'm very much looking forward to my team taking on Luton this season, but I think Luton are just going to miss out on the playoff places. They will be up there by all means, but I think they're going to miss out and they're going to finish in mid-table. I'm going with another controversial one, and it is newly relegated Burton Albion. Now, Burton Albion are quite a small club. Rewind 4 years, and they were in League 2. Fast forward 2 years, they're in the Championship after back-to-back promotions. They stayed up the first season, but they went down this season. The season just gone, sorry, and they are quite a small club, which is why a lot of people aren't expecting them to do that well. We know what they can do in this division, but they have to get to grips with it again. I don't know if Nigel Clough is still in charge of them, but if he is, he could do decent. You don't know, but I think Burton Albion are going to come 11th. In 10th, I'm going to go with Peterborough United. Again, they've brought in a new manager, I think from the lower leagues. It's a bit of a risk again. They have lost a few players in the transfer window. The biggest of them all is Jack Marriott. Of course, if you don't get promoted and you have the league's top goal scorer, he's bound to leave, and he finally did leave. He joined Frank Lampard's Derby County for £3 million. They also lost Leonardo da Silva Lopez to Wigan, who is one of the youngest prolific players in the league right now, or in League One, as now, of course, gone to the Championship. Peterborough are always a side who seem to compete with the top end of the table. They still will, but I think they're just going to miss out this season once again and finish in 10th. And in 9th is Plymouth Argyle. In December last season, they were bottom of the table. In March, they were 6th, gunning playoffs. They just missed out to my team, Charlton. Again, Plymouth are quite a decent side, but for me, I think they're just going to miss out. If they replicate the bad start of the season, they will have no chance competing with the playoffs. But I do think that Plymouth are going to be up there, but they're just going to miss out once again, and they're going to finish in 9th. Now we move on to the teams just outside the playoffs, and in 8th, I'm going with Bradford City. Now, Bradford had a disastrous campaign last season, I'm not going to lie. They didn't get any signings in January when fans wanted them to, but they didn't and ended up in 11th place, which is not where they deserve to be, despite being 2nd and 3rd for the majority of the start of the season. They've made some quality signings in the transfer window. They've signed Sean Scannell from Huddersfield and Burton. This is his first season in League One, but nonetheless it's a great signing. And also Jack Payne on loan from Huddersfield. So it's a brilliant signing once again. He's going to help you out massively. But I do think that under Michael Collins, you're going to improve massively. But again, I think the Bantams are just going to miss out to the more experienced side in this league. And I think you're just going to miss out and finish in 8th. And in 7th, I'm going with Shrewsbury Town. Now, Shrewsbury, of course, made it to the playoff final last season, but were pipped by Rotherham, and since then have lost a lot of players. They've lost Abu Ogogo, as I mentioned earlier, to Coventry. They've lost Alex Rodman, but the biggest loss of them all is your manager, Paul Hurst, who has joined Ipswich, replacing Mick McCarthy. It's a massive loss from Shrewsbury, and I think it will be very challenging to repeat your success. I'm still tipping you to be up there this year, but I'm going with you just to miss out, and Shrewsbury will finish in 7th, just missing out outside the playoff place. Playoffs, and in 6th, I'm going with Chris Powell's Southend United. Now, under Chris Powell, the king of League One, Southend will definitely be up there. I'm pretty certain that you will be. I think they've spent very well. I've not actually seen who Southend have signed. I will have to have a look later. But Southend apparently have spent very well. I think the only bit of business I've actually known of is that you've signed Charlton youngster Harry Lennon. Thanks for signing him because he's been useless for us. And you've lost Anthony Wordsworth, who was on the books of Charlton. They're the only transfers I know of. But under Chris Powell, I'm pretty sure Southend will storm ahead. Speaking of my team, Charlton, I'm predicting them to finish in 5th. Simple reason is because of the fact that with the ongoing takeover talks and our squad depth being absolutely slim as it is, and with the injury crisis we have right now, I think as it stands we're going to struggle. I think it will be quite a difficult test for us. But we know what our squad is capable of. Lee Bowyer, of course, we were written off in March. He got us into the playoff places. We failed. But this season, under a permanent basis, I think he will bring us a lot more good results and the consistency will be there. And I think Charlton are going to finish the playoff places once again. In fourth, I'm going with Sunderland. Now, I wasn't too keen on Sunderland at the start of the season, purely because of their back-to-back relegations. But they've got a new owner, they've got a new manager, and have made a few decent signings, of course, during the transfer window. They've recently signed Danny McGouch. I've definitely butchered that name. From Hibernian, that's a solid signing. They've kept a few decent players as well. I think they've kept Paddy McNair, I'm not too sure. They've also kept Lee Cattermole, who Sunderland fans are not too impressed that he's still there. But this is a season for Sunderland to sort themselves out, and that's why I've gone them to finish fourth, because they have to sort themselves out this year. I think they will. Will they win playoffs? Not too sure, but I'm going with Sunderland to finish fourth. And in third, I'm going with Kenny Jackett's Portsmouth. At least I think they're still under Kenny Jackett, but I love Portsmouth as a club. Their support is incredible. They just missed out on the playoffs this season, but I think Portsmouth are going to have a spectacular season this year. I think they're going to storm it, blitz it, and I think Pompey are going to finish in third place. They have got quite a solid side, and of course their fan base will definitely help them out massively this year. And I'm going with Pompey to just miss out on automatic promotion, but finish third and have a very successful campaign. Now we move on to automatic promotion and the champions. Now, two teams are left. One of them you may say is very obvious, and the other one is quite a meh kind of decision. But in second, I'm going with the Iron, Scunthorpe United. Now, Scunthorpe have been in the playoffs for 2 years running, and coincidentally, they have lost in the semi-final of the playoffs to the eventual winners, Millwall in 2016-17 and Rotherham in 2017-18. But Scunthorpe do tend to spend well during the transfer window, and I don't know if about the signings they've signed. I think they've kept Josh Morris and Hakeeb Adelaikun, very decent players in this division, obviously, and I definitely think this will be Scunthorpe's year. They have had a decline down the league table the past 2 years, but I think they're going to bounce back massively. Their experience of League One is unreal, and I think they are just about going to be pipped to the post by the champions, but they're going to finish second and get promoted to the Championship at last. And winning the league in 2018-19 this season, ladies and gentlemen, will be newly relegated Barnsley. Now, Barnsley's team, in my opinion, is the strongest. They have kept the likes of Ezekiel Friars, who was on the books of Spurs, Dimitri Kavare, who is their most valued player, and Kiefer Moore, who signed from Ipswich in January after having a blinding first half of the season at Rotherham in League One. With him still in your team, he will work wonders for Barnsley. I don't know if he did that well in the Championship, but I think he struggled a bit. But back in League One, he should be tearing this league apart, which is why I'm going with Barnsley. This is your year at Oakwell. I think you're going to win the league, and the League One champions of 2018-19, ladies and gentlemen, will be Barnsley. So that is it for my 2018-19 League One prediction video. I'm not expecting this video to go down too well, in particular of the clubs that I've not predicted to do so well based off last season's success stories. But if you have any other suggestions as to where you think everyone's going to finish, please comment on the video, because I'd like to hear what you think. As I said, I'm not expecting this video to do well. I'm expecting to get criticism. If you want me to do predictions for League 2, the Championship and the Premier League, then I'll be more than happy to do it if you guys are cool with it. But yeah, I'm not going to do it if you guys don't want me to do it, because I'm not just going to pipe up and do it. But if you want me to do it, then please let me know. I may put out a Let's Talk Charlton episode in next week or so before the season starts. I'll be doing a live reaction to Charlton versus Sunderland. I can't wait for the new season. Good luck to all 24 clubs in the league this season, and I wish you all the best. This has been Tyler Rowlinson. Have a nice day, and bring on the new footballing season. Goodbye, guys.